now going to touch the pad. Everybody in the world fused. Okay crew, welcome back to the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel, and we're continuing the work on Tool Girl Sam's project, Honda ATC200. It's called a Super Red 200, but it's, in all honesty, it's not very super anymore, is it? It's pretty crusty, pretty old. It's a three-wheeler trike, you know, with the big bulbous tyres. Basically what came before the ATVs, the four-wheelers, the quad bikes. And I got given it, and basically I thought, well, you know, these things are getting pretty rare. It'd be pretty cool to do a few videos, get it up and running. We're not going to make it nice. We may not even ride it. It looks pretty damn ropey on the wheels. You'll see all that in future videos. We've done one video already where we actually managed to get the engine to start. It took a bit of work. We had to sort of bypass a few bits and pieces. Starter solenoid wasn't working. That had basically seized up. Starter motor isn't working. We had it running, we checked for ignition, we got that, that was fine with a spark, which is the main thing. And we had to bypass the fuel system because of course the fuel in the bike it could be years and years old. So we used a bit of brake cleaner through the intake of the carb, and it did run. We actually had it running for a few seconds, 2 or 3 times, which was fantastic. And we used a drill to actually turn over the engine because the pull start's knackered, and like I said, the starter motor's knackered too. So we've sort of, because we've got it running, it's given us a little bit of hope, hasn't it? We sort of, you know, there's no point in you know, stripping a carb and rebuilding it, or stripping a starter motor and rebuilding that if the engine's junk. But it did run, so we can now move forward and do a bit more with it. So in this video, what we're going to do is remove the fuel tank, pull off the carburetor, and take a little sneaky peek inside the float bowl and just see how bad it is. And then I'll clean it all up. And then Sam, when she comes back next time, will reassemble the carburetor, fit it back on the bike, and hopefully it will then run on its own fuel. The next video will be removing the starter motor, stripping that down, and seeing if we can resurrect it without spending too much money. But on this one, let's crack on and get that carburetor removed. Sam, you ready?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Here we go. Oh, how's your finger today?
Still shit.
Damn, still waiting for the surgery, eh? What do you like? Show me your finger, Sam. Okay, so your plaster's not sticking very well anymore. All right, so this is a mechanic's plaster. All right, so you're gonna have to trust me now. Where the cut's right at the end, right? Okay, so this bit's fine. I probably cut it too long.
It'll never come off.
It'll never come off. There you go, look. At least now you're not going to lose your finger.
Looks better.
Yeah.
Looks worse.
So you always, a bit of insulation tape fixes anything. I've you know, put big gashes down my finger and held it back together with this stuff for a few days before I've had time to go to the hospital. Bloody, it's really useful, and it's not just electrical tape. Okay, right, to the bike, Sam. Let's do it. Okay, Sam, we're going to pull off the fuel tank first. All right, so the first job is to remove this bolt at the back. Now, it should be captive. So you drop that on there, look. There you go. Give it a fire. You going to be all right? Use 1.5 hands. Pretty good. Okay, got that. Cool, so that should now be free. Brilliant. Right, we'll come around your side, because I think that's where the fuel line is. Let's have a little look. You see a fuel pipe off it? Is it on your side? Yeah, the tap's on your side, isn't it? Cool. Man, this is a rusty old thing, isn't it? Okay, so under here, Sam, is the fuel line to the carburetor. So we're going to remove that next. So if you get your little long nose pliers and sort of grip the line when it's, you know, on that hard bit underneath the fuel tap, yeah, give it a good sort of squish, and then just try and break it free from the little barbs. So you're just rotating it. That's it, and that should help to just free it off. And then with a flat screwdriver, as I prepared earlier, you can then just lever it off the barb like that. You know what I mean? Alright, so grab that. Do your swap. So you do that and I'll give it a little tug. It's going to get a new fuel line at some point anyway if we're going to do anything with it. Is it coming off?
Look like it.
Yeah. Got it. Perfect. Good job. Okay, right, so we can lift the tank off now. Alright, so if you come around this side, you should be able to lift that fuel tank off, I think. Cool, yeah. Right, so you lift it up at the back first, and then there'll be like two rubbers on the actual frame. So you've got to sort of wiggle the tank backwards. And it should. It's the same as a motorbike, it'll always come off. Hopefully. There we go. You got it?
Yeah.
You cut with the weight, not too heavy. It sounds very empty. There's no fuel in it at all, is there?
No.
Right, Sam. So unfortunately, the carburettor on this bike is sort of trapped. It's really well hidden within the two pieces of the frame here, the spine of the frame where it splits. So I think the easiest way of getting the carb out is to undo these two bolts here and take it off with the intake manifold as one unit. So we're going to need a 10mm spanner. Now, is it on that trolley, the 10mm spanner? Might be. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, can you see if you can crack those two bolts off? I might have more room on this side for that one, but that top one there might be easier for you to get to. So you want to be lifting it upwards, the spanner. It looks, those bolts don't look original. Looks like somebody else has already been in there already. Is it really tight? Don't hurt your finger. No? Oh, you got it. Hey, good job. All right, so you work that one out. Fantastic. Well, while you're doing that, I can have a little look and see how it's held onto the carburettor, the air filter box, the housing. Oh, the fuel smells really old. There's a bit of fuel in the fuel line, but that's about it. Where is the little clip? Must be on your side. Yes, it is. Probably a very impossible place to get to. Alright, chuck your spanner over. I'll make a start on the other side. Cheers. They almost look like stainless steel bolts, don't they? They look really different colours, all the rest. There you go. Have its friend. Put them together. Keep them happy. Okay, so now we need to find access to the like a metal band that clamps around the intake pipe from the airbox to the carburettor. So we're going to slacken that off and then we can get the carb out. And I suppose we should take out the throttle cable as well. So what we can do there. Oh, I might have heard somebody. Just, they're usually really tight, so it's quite good to use a pair of pliers. There we go. Okay, can you get in there and unscrew that for us? That's the throttle slide. It comes from the throttle, and the handlebars. You got it. There you go. If I do that, is that a bit easier? Geez, you don't hear a carburettor as much these days, do you, nowadays? It's all fuel injected.
Oh,
That's it.
springy.
There you go. It's like a jack in the box.
Am I pulling it out?
Yeah, you can pull it all the way out. Carefully.
Okay.
There you go. Alright, this is quite a delicate piece.
Yeah.
So you've got the needle, there look, and you see it's tapered. So the further that gets pulled up, so if you move the throttle there, look, you'll see that'll get pulled in. So you move the throttle.
What's this?
Yep. There you go, see? So imagine that as you pull the throttle, that moves up inside the carburettor.
Ding, ding, ding.
Crazy frog. Definitely. So as it gets pulled up, there's what we call the jet here in the carburettor. So that because that's tapered, as it gets pulled up, it allows more fuel to go into the carburettor, into the actual venturi. See, pretty cool. And you can change the mixture by raising and lowering that needle. There's a little clip inside. Very posh. And there's one other thing on there as well while we're here. Can you see in there there's a little taper, like a little slanted taper?
Yeah.
There's like this groove that runs down, and there's like a taper inside. Well, that taper is how you control the idle speed of the engine. There's a little screw on the side of the carburetor. The more you screw it in, the more it lifts that up. It's very basic stuff. Even I understand it. It's pretty cool. None of this fuel injection stuff. Right. Okay, so I need to go around your side now. We've got to find the clip that's holding the back side or the intake side of the carb onto that pipe from the airbox. Right, Sam, we've got to go hands on now because it's pretty tight in there. So if we look right up there, get the focus. Reset metal band that's holding the carb onto that pipe. In fact, I'll put the torch on for you. Zing! There you go, like that rusty, crusty metal band. So I think we should put some WD-40 on that, and we'll try if we can, because trying to get to the screw at the top is pretty much impossible. There is a little tiny hole, so maybe they've given that as an access hole. I don't know, but it does sort of line up. It might work. We'll give it a go. But we'll get that spray put on first. Good shot. See if you can spray some WD-40 as little as possible on the camera and as much as possible on the actual thread inside there. Look, pretty hard to get to, isn't it? But see if you can get in there. Oh, look at that! Such a pro. Fantastic. Okay, it's probably a posi, so we'll see if we can find a screwdriver. There is a chance it will not undo because it's pretty bloody rusty crusty. Man, I can't even get on the head of the bolt. I think it's almost rusted away. See if we can push it down a bit. Hang on. It's pretty slack. Oh, there we go. Right, Sam, give that a go. See if you can undo it.
Wait, righty tighty or no?
Lefty loosey. Oh man, it's undone, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I just needed the pressure coming like, from this hand.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you just need that extra little bit, didn't you? Cool. That's probably enough, I would say. We should be okay at that to get the carb out. That's a brilliant bit of camera work, I must say. Actually, it worked really well. Right, Sam, see if you can extract that carburetor now. There shouldn't be too much else holding it in. Maybe a choke cable, actually. But we can maybe get that off. Right, see if we can get it out of there. That's it. So you pull it through the gap.
Yeah, there's a cable.
Is there enough slack on it to get it further out, or is it going to be a bit of a pain? That'll do for now. You hold it there. We'll take a look. Give us a smile. That's the Sam I know. Oh shit. Sorry camera.
Kicks the camera.
Sorry camera. Right, so what have we got left? We've taken that off. We've got... Oh, choke cable. That's easy. Just chuck a little bit more spray, Sam. Chuck us a spray up. You can spray on if you want. You come around here. Can you see where that wire goes in there? Look. Just put a little bit of spray on that plasticky bit on the nipple.
Hey,
Tell you what, you got your back to the camera, but
yeah.
okay. So I'm just going to spray a little bit on there, just to help getting that cable out. Making plies.
Dripping something.
Oh, that's petrol. That's all right. Right, so we just need to ease that cable out of there. I'm doing it all backwards. Oh,
Simple.
such a pro. Right, one carburetor. You need that, Sam. Right, to the bench. Good job. Jeez, honestly, if you knew what went on behind the scenes when filming, it's hard work. All right, Sam. So you've extracted the carburetor from the Honda Super Red 200. Awesome piece of kit. And first glimpse, it doesn't actually look too bad. If you look down there, where's my torch? Hang on. Where's my spookers torch? Been to spookers? Gotta go spookers. Get a free torch. It's cool.
I get a free t-shirt too.
Oh, yeah?
Or maybe some pants.
Nice.
If I ship.
Some zombie pants.
They give you pants.
If you actually
Supposedly.
lose control of your bodily functions.
Like they give you a shirt if you be yourself, and I'm pretty sure they have to give you pants if you crap your pants.
Oh, man. That's something I'd never actually thought of that as being an option, but I have been chased by the chainsaw guys a few times, and that is pretty damn scary. Oh, I had my shirt ripped. One of them grabbed my shirt
that would
and
be so annoying.
pulled all
But
the
they
buttons
can.
off it. Yeah, I should have asked for a new shirt, shouldn't I?
Like, they're allowed.
Get a free t-shirt.
They're allowed to. They get paid to, and it's crazy.
I mean, it was pretty rough. The guy grabbed me and threw. There's an old bed in one of the sheds, and
That's creepy.
He literally threw me on the bed, full on. Oh, hang on, it's leaking.
Some green stuff.
I love my. I'm quite flammable now. Okay, no cigarettes for a while. Right, so there you go. It doesn't look too bad, but what we need to do now is we basically remove the float bowl, which is this bit here, and it's held on, by the looks of it, by 3 screws. One here, and one up there. And quite often they're really seized up. And these are all, two of them are not captive, and one is. So that one there, we can see the end of the threads, and the same with that one there. So we'll put a bit of spray on that. It probably isn't going to help, but we'll, you know, what the hell. But the other one, the one on its own, is not captive. You know, it's not. Sorry, it's not. It's a blind hole, so you can't get to the other end. Captive's the wrong word. Okay, so we'll flick it upside down, put it on the Tang Tools mat, and see if we can get that float bowl taken off. All right, Sam, let's give it a go. If I hold the carburetor, do you want to give it a go undoing one of those? Oh, we were going to spray it, weren't we? There's the spray. WD-40 again. Yeah. Let's just give it a little spray first. Just you know, that's petrol, by the way. Well, what's left of it. We'll just spray a bit on those two. Can't see it doing a lot of good, but anyway. And we can remove that because it's in the way. And we can remove that one because it's in the way. Okay, I'm ready. Just try not to stab me too many times with the screwdriver. So you got to push down and turn the other way. Lefty loosey. Oh. You did it, didn't you? You've done it already.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just going to stop trying to undo nuts and bolts now, and you can just do all of them, I think. Good job. You just put your bolt on the mat somewhere.
It's tiny.
Yeah, they are very small.
So
You choose. That's 1 out of 3 so far. Oh, look at that. I wonder if somebody's been in this in the past then, if it's undoing so easily. Because you're making it look very, very easy, and it's sometimes it really isn't easy. Okay, last one. Let's give it a go. Fingers crossed. You've got to push down at the same time. Look at that. It's almost too big a screwdriver, isn't it, for those? It's just to say hanging in there. I like the mysterious one glove. It's like you're like one of the bad guys off James Bond.
it was Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah, it was. That's what you used to do. Right. So a little trick. Every tool has a hammer side, so you just give the float ball a little tap with the head of the screwdriver. Yeah, right, and it should just break the gasket off. And because the idea is we don't break the gasket, as in damage it. It should just shock the float ball off. Oh, it's an O-ring anyway. That's all right. Okay, so pointy stick time, and we can do a bit of component ID for everybody so we know what's going on. So this is the float bowl, and if your carb's leaking fuel, then this is the overflow here. Look, so basically the fuel level normally should be below the height of that under normal circumstances, but if your floats are either damaged and they've sunk to the bottom, then the fuel valve, which is behind here, and we'll cover that in a minute, that may not be closing, so that the fuel out the fuel tank's just basically filling this up constantly, and the level gets too high and it could be running off down there, and it's going to dribble out of that pipe that comes out the bottom there. You can also manually drain the float bowl, so if the bike's been stood a long time and you want to get the old stale fuel out of the carburetor, you can just unscrew that screw on the side and it'll do the same thing. It'll allow all the fuel in the float bowl to drain out, so when you put the fresh fuel in the fuel tank, it'll, you know, have nice fresh petrol in the fuel bowl ready to go. So it starts easier. That's the plan. And other than that, it should just be nice and clean. And this one actually is in really good nick. I can't believe it. There's a little bit of dirt down the bottom, but I mean, it's really. Tell you what, Sam, we've got any of that brake cleaner kicking around? Where's a can of brake clean? You got your eye protection on? No, it's just there, look.
I don't take advice from people on YouTube.
Oh, like that, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm a guy on YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, people
Oh,
in the
other
comment
people.
section.
Oh,
I'm not going to take their
yeah.
advice.
No, fair enough. That's all right then.
I can risk
I think
what
that-
I want.
I think well, you can. I think the other problem is that everybody has a different opinion, so you can't
Yeah.
please everybody, can you? You know.
Well, someone would say, "What's with all the safety gear?" And someone would complain about it if I overdid it. So
Of course they would. That's right.
it's always something to complain about.
Yeah. Okay, so float bowl done. See that over there? Got the 3 bolts. Got a nice whiff of brake cleaner again, haven't we? Okay, so again we've got some more. In fact,
Liquid.
I'll try and keep that in there for now. So we've got this, which I think basically just helps to prevent the fuel from sloshing around the jet area, so it gets a nice constant supply and no air in it. And here we've got the 2 jets. We've got the idle jet and the main jet. And maybe, just maybe, we can get those out. I need a bigger screwdriver there. Here we go. Look, remember the one I broke? I bought a new one. I actually paid for a new one.
God.
That's how much I like Tame Tools. I actually spent some money and bought one. Right, so we're taking out the idle jets now. So we'll stick that down there. And we'll be checking that later on, but that's the idle jet. And this, oh man, this carb is in really good nick. That's the main jet. And that's called the emulsion tube down there. That's what helps to mix the air and the fuel together, to atomize the fuel. Cool. Okay, now these are the floats. And at the moment the carburetor is completely upside down. Normally it would sit in the bike that way around, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's where the throttle slider went. So these floats are responsible for maintaining a level of fuel, a depth of fuel in the float bowl. And there is usually adjustment, but normally they should never ever need adjusting. If the carb is overflowing fuel, it's highly unlikely it's float height adjustment that's causing the problem. However, a lot of mechanics and a lot of people will fiddle with the float height as the first thing that they do, and then all they do is add more problems to the carb. So even if they fix the other fault, it'll still possibly dribble fuel because the float height's now wrong. So never really, unless you're absolutely certain the float height's incorrect, never try to adjust it. Okay, so to get the floats out, we've got here a little metal pin that comes through, and one end has got like a nail head to it, so it's a slightly larger diameter, and the other end, as you can see, is a bit smaller, and that tells you that that pin has to go out that way. Now when you're removing these, you've got to be extremely careful, because if the pin is seized on the tower, so it's got seized inside there, when you tap this end, it's well known to break off the tower if you're a bit hand-fisted. And once you break that off, the carburetor's scrap, and you have to go and find another one. And they're not that easy to come by, to be honest. Now sometimes you can just push them out, that you don't even need to use a punch. Hang on a minute. So I did see it move. Let me just get something a bit smaller. Right, let's do a bit of a close-up. All right, Sam, if you grab that, and then you can just push it through that hole, and it should push the pin through. Oh man, that was way too easy. Okay, all right. So no hammer required, which is nice. So now we can pull the pin, and we can lift out the floats. All right. Now, not a lot of people do this kind of stuff anymore, but if we turn that over, you can see we've now got what we call the float valve just under here, and we can take that out. It just sits on a little ledge just on there, look, like that, if you can see that. Hopefully sits in there. There's a few different designs, but that one comes off like that and sits down there. Now this should be spring loaded, so there should be a little tiny spring in there. Oh, look at that, you see, that's still working. Great stuff. And if you turn it around, this cone area here, the black bit, hopefully you can see all this, the black bit is the sealing surface, and it's usually rubberized, so over time it can wear away, and that can be a reason why fuel, even though the valve is being closed by the floats, the fuel still dribbles through because it's not sealed, like a dripping tap. You know, your washer's not working right, not sealing properly. So these do have to be replaced every now and again. Okay, so that's the float valve. Now obviously it has a seat as well, which is this bit here. And this one looks like it's just pressed in, whereas some have a little screw that holds them in at the side. And between that brass element there, the outer part of the valve, and the casing, there's usually an O-ring. And I've got a video on diagnosing a leaking carburetor where the O-ring has failed and the fuel is bypassing the valve. It's coming through between the brass body and the aluminium casting. So yeah, be aware of that as well. Look at the colour of that fuel, it's green. What the hell? Green fuel. It's ridiculous.
It's lime green too.
It is, it's really bright green, isn't it? Get rid of that look. You love the smell, don't you? Heh. It really is strong, is that, isn't it? Jeez. Let me know if you need to sit down, Sam.
I'll just pass out.
Yeah, get into trouble. Okay, so we've basically gone as far as we want to go on this video as regards removing the carburetor and the basic strip down. There's a few more bits and pieces to do, but I'll do that in a separate video where I actually clean and rebuild the carb, and then you can give me a hand putting it back on. Cool. Coolio. Right, Sam, so we've basically stripped out all the internals from the float bowl, and it's actually in incredibly good condition. Really happy with that. I actually was not expecting that at all. I was expecting it to be really crusty and horrible. So there's definitely still hope for this little bike. Because again, trying to find another carburetor for it would be pretty hard work, I reckon, now, because a lot have been scrapped. So what I'll do is I'll do like an intermediate video on my own, because Sam's time is very precious. Did I say precious or is it expensive? One or the other, I can't remember which. Precious. Sam's time is really precious. So what I'll do is I'll strip the rest of the carb down, clean it all up. I'll do a video on it, reassemble it, and then when Sam's back in the workshop, we'll refit the carb and see if we can get that bike. You tired, girl? You really tired?
I'm losing blood.
Well, there's that, and you're going through mass. Your body's going through shock because of the major trauma that's happened to your finger.
24 hours ago.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man. I think you should have been admitted to hospital straight away. Did you not think about calling the ambulance? No? Don't do
Let me
ambulances?
die.
Let you die. Okay. All right. So we'll get back to that a bit later on in the next video, and then of course refitting it and testing the engine that's running on normal fuel rather than our super duper brake clean. I'll do that when Sam's back in the workshop. Okay, well, hopefully you found this video helpful. Like I say, it'll be a 3 episode series on doing the carb, and this is only the end of episode 1. I'll put a link to episode 2 at the end of this video for you. If you enjoyed the video, why not click on the subscribe button? You'll see a little gear icon turn up. Click on the gear icon, and then you can tick the box and turn on notifications.
I can't even bend my pinky. And that's not even the injured one. It's like
You're just not well, are you? Everything's... Sam, welcome to getting old. It's going to be downhill. Oh, hey, listen, it gets a lot worse. I've actually got believe it or not, I've got a really bad right hip at the moment. Although you couldn't tell because I hold back all the pain. You know, I don't look for sympathy like some people do. No, seriously though, I should not have done marathons around Auckland for a few years. I reckon that's what's caused the problem. But hey, doesn't matter. Just a mechanic. You put up with it. You're always hurting yourself. Okay, you'll also find me on
Facebook, Instagram, Google+, Twitter, and Patreon.
And Patron. You're tagging the Patron on the end of that. It's pretty good. That's right. So Facebook, Instagram, Google+, and Twitter. Feel free to communicate through any of those portals. However, first point of contact, if you don't mind, through the comments on YouTube. With the Patreon page, what are they going to find on there, Sam? Do you remember?
Secrets.
Yeah, lots of secrets. Now, at the moment, everything on the Patreon page is viewable to everybody. However, there will be some material uploaded in the next few weeks or over the next few weeks, which will be only viewable and downloadable by patrons. Really, just to give them a little bit of a pat on the back and some extra sort of bonus footage, that kind of thing. You know, because they're a patron and they're paying to be that. If you want to donate, you can become a patron, but please only donate what you can afford. I do not want, under any circumstances, anybody sending money through that they can't afford to do. What comes through is a great help and it's much appreciated, But the bottom line is the Andy Mechanic YouTube channel will be here regardless of whether you make a donation or not. It's not reliant on those donations to come through. However, it will allow me to do more projects and more stuff because, end of the day, it does cost money to make these videos. What else, Sam? I think we're about there, aren't we? That's about it. Yeah, cool. Okay, well, we've got one more video to make this afternoon, which is going to be removing the starter motor and the strip down of the starter to see how bad that is on the inside, to see if there's any possible chance that I might be able to resurrect it and get the electric start working on that bike. Because the last thing I want to do is run around and have to unscrew a cover and use an electric drill to start the engine every time. It's not ideal, is it? Okay, crew, well, it's goodbye from me.
Tool Girl Sam over and out.
Well done, Sam. Cheers. And we get the flip.
Oh!